I'm George L. Morton. I was in the U.S. Marines in 3 combat missions from Guam to Iwo Jima. After my freshman year in college, World War II was hot and heavy, so they gave us a choice of going in the Army as a sergeant or in the Marines as a buck private. So all the football players at Sam Houston, we thought we were big shots, so I went in as a private after the first year of college.
Now, were you married when you?
No, I was not married,
You were not married yet.
but my wife that I did marry went in the Marines later on, thinking that if she went in the Marines, she could help me get out sooner and we could get married and have our lives, but it didn't happen that quite like that. So
she went into the Marines after she had already met you.
yes.
Okay.
And was stationed in Washington, D.C. And
what did she do in the Marines?
she was typist and historian and that part of the field, and did a very good job, and was discharged as a corporal, and I was discharged as a sergeant after all of my work in the military. That was my boot camp in San Diego, and from there I moved on out through the military and lived through it. And I was very lucky too. So.
Okay, so from San Diego, then where did you go next?
Well, it was wartime, so I went and trained for the mortars, 81 mortars. Okay. And my first overseas trip was Guadalcanal. There they were forming the 3rd Marine Division, and from there I stayed with the 3rd Marine Division until separation. Well, let me tell you about the first week on Guam. We went in, and of course the Japs were very well fortified, and when you're in a outfit in a company, you're not up on the headlines or anything. But the mortars, we were in the 6th wave of fighting, and so we were backed up and signed to a company, and from there we did our job. And on Guam, it was near the end of the war that was, of course, when I went into Saipan and those other places, it was preparation, but on Guam it was the last stitch for the Japanese, because we had defeated them all the way up to that position, and so they were ready for us. And as I was out there in a group of thousands of boats and everything, well, I looked around, and all of a sudden one boat went sailing up in the air, and the Japanese had hit that boat, and it killed everyone on there. And so that got me real serious about keeping my head down and doing what people asked me to do. And on Guam, of course, we made the landing, and there's when I saw a second boat get blown up from the enemy. And of course, when we hit there, the first day we had to all separate and find our companies in line of duties and everything. And on Guam, the Japs, if you can recall history well enough, that Guam was the end of World War II most things, and so the Japs were really dug in and really ready to fight and to shove us back off the island. Well, we were there for the first week, and we couldn't move. Everybody was dug in, and the Japs were eating us up at night and everything. And I remember we got lined up as we were moving out. They killed the tank commander, and they had to reorganize, and we were way up on the hill in line to move on in as we could. And when that tank commander was killed, it took 2 days for us to get waiting and going. And during that time, we lost a lot of Marines, and I remember a buddy of mine was a captain of a rifle company, and his company was the head of the mortars, and I looked up one morning around 10 o'clock in the morning, and I see him coming back. And it was a sight to behold, because he only had about 10 or 12 people following him coming back. And what it had, the Japs had eaten us up at night and day too, so I went out to talk to him, and he didn't even know me, didn't even say. He had war, whatever you call it, and that really knew that we had a fight on our hands. And from then on we did.